Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of From the Root to the Fruit. Today's guest is one awesome brother. I've known him for the better part of my life, going on 25 plus years. Married, family man, father of two amazing kids, 10-time Council of Leadership Sales,
And
uh,
so,
three-time yes sir, three-time Salesman of the Year. Uh, a great individual, my homeboy, my brother, Tavis Brown.
what's good? What's good, everybody?
Hey,
What up, Jake?
hey, what's going on, brother? I want to just get right down to it, man. How is everything? I know you live in the Midwest. How's the weather and everything out there?
Oh man, everything's lovely, man. I ain't complaining on that. Anybody know this area? Know the weather changed like the weather. So the
Oh
weather
yeah,
changed, the weather changed like the time. Everything's everything.
awesome, awesome. I know for you, like we come from the same hometown, so
Yeah.
we definitely have a lot of different stories and a lot of different affinity. I want to get into some of the transitions, like growing up down there in the '90s. What
Ooh.
was that? What was that like being right? Like, and we didn't even know it as like being
Wow.
people of color and that kind of thing. It was just more like we're just black guys. It wasn't African American back there. We were just black. So tell the people kind of what that was like growing up. And you went to South Davie.
Yeah.
I went to North Davie, but
North. Yeah.
kind of let them know kind of growing up around
Show me the
Coolamy and
Shady Grove. I mean,
yeah.
even before that, just going to Shady Grove. I mean, that was an experience. We were uh almost like the animals in the zoo, if you will. A lot of people that didn't quite know how to take us. It was a little different, especially I'd say for myself. For the first couple of years, I was probably one of the only blacks in some of the classes that I had. So it was a little unique, but it made me who I am today.
And that's fair, and I absolutely agree. Same thing here. It's tough to know what you don't know, like
Yeah,
right, like when you're going to school and you kind of just make friends, but it's difficult, and a lot of this gets lost where you don't see yourself in representation, right? Like
of
you're
course.
and I liken it to if you were a car salesman, right? Like you sell cars, being in a room with a bunch of other people that do the same thing you do gives you a
Yeah,
level of comfort,
right.
right? For the people at home, that's the thing I can liken it to. When you don't see somebody that looks like you, it, you just don't have that immediate level of comfort. Yeah, nobody's really getting in your face, and it's not like that. But at the same time, like that internal, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm it's peaceful. I think it's different.
Oh, absolutely. And it's kind of I'm kind of glad that you slowed it down a little bit and brought that up because I mean, in terms of a level of comfort, I wouldn't say I never felt uncomfortable until I got a little older, and some of the other kids got a little older, and then maybe some of the older influences from those households maybe is what attracted me to being different.
Right.
But I mean, um, the only reason I say that is because I sit back and I can see all the good things, but I can as now I'm getting older and I have kids, and my parents tell me of some of the stories when I was my kids' age and younger of things that they had to talk about with me and they had to face it. It was kind of unique.
Absolutely, and that I think a lot of that goes unsaid, right? Like when you're going through it, and we were both athletes. Like you were track, basketball. My thing was football, wrestling. It's just different. You get treated differently. But once we got old enough, I realized that I got treated differently when we went out or we went to go get food or we were in the community
Yeah,
because I was in the paper, because
right,
the people recognized me for my athletic prowess or whatever. Like
right.
I and that bothered me. Like it didn't bother me like when you get a free extra free thing of French fries at
Hot dog and
Miller's.
milk.
Yeah, I was good with that. I was good with that, right?
Hey,
but the when you get older, to your point, and I've got sons, and we both got brown sons. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm thinking about those things. Like why were they? What will they be judged on? Like now I'm
right.
thinking about it in a whole different way. Whereas it didn't really bother me back then.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But did you experience any of that as far as you recognize that people of a different race treated you differently in the community because of what you were able to athletically do?
You know, maybe a little bit. I mean, I can definitely see how some of that was affected around me. I mean, you know, I had some other guys I hung out with that was probably a little more dominant. You know, when it came to track, that was a little more on the back burner. You know, in terms of the community, you know, we got the support, but in terms of, you know, like the outside community love, you know, you don't get recognized as much as you were, you know, if you played on the hardwood or you know, if you was on the Friday Night Light special when it came to the football field. But, you know, I definitely see some of the differences there as how you can kind of get trapped up in the smaller view of what you think the world is going to be like.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Now let's transition. We graduated. We got out of there. What brought you to the Midwest?
Oh man, that's kind of a funny story. Honestly, just change. You know, I worked for a company where I set up the hardware stores. I did that for about a year or so
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of traveled. So it was basically a coin flip that we made between, you know, making it here in Texas. So
Oh, okay. Oh, well,
wild
hell.
story. Yeah.
That,
Hey, that's how
now,
we roll.
now you have a son and a daughter. I've witnessed firsthand your son's athletic ability, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Good
He
gracious.
tried.
I had to foul him hard. The,
Hey, me too. Me too.
tell tell me some of the do you is there one thing that kind of stands out? I know your daughter was a high level ballerina. Uh,
Yeah.
what tell me some of that, like the level of pride and that kind of thing. Like what went into that when you see them kind of taking the reins and doing it their way?
Oh man, you know, it's a whole nother level because honestly, I think you enjoy it more when you get to step back and see somebody else enjoy it. Um, you know, it was really kind of funny because you know, you kind of mentioned the basketball where I mean, for my son, he's probably actually more talented in track than even in basketball, which is kind of hard to believe. So, you know, if for me that was kind of nice because you know you mentioned me in school and that was one of my uh, one of my focals was on that oval. So, you know, for him to take up the same sport I did, along with even wanting to compete in some of the same events with, you know, the 110 hurdles and some of the long jump events and things like that, man, it almost puts a tear in my eye. You know, he wanted to do the track thing a long time ago. I didn't really force him into a certain event. I just wanted to kind of see where he wanted to take it.
Right.
You know, he's got the quick wheels. That was just natural. You know, with the hurdles, it takes a little more of quickness and technique. So that's, you know, a little easier said than done. Sometimes anybody that's been around that sport will kind of tell it's not always the fastest person on the team that wants to run hurdles. So you know, it takes a special individual. So you know, for him to allow me to go out there and show him some of my little sweet treats, as we call it, that kept me moving through it, you know, from back in the day. And that's a shout out to Mr. Kerry Powers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Beat the road there in Davie County. You know, him showing me the way and then me passing down some of that, you know, to my son, and then the way he took it and really excelled in it, man, it really feels good. Now,
Outstanding.
for my daughter and the dance thing, you know, that's you know, a whole nother joy because a lot of that, it's stuff that I don't really understand because it's so complex and so detailed to where, you know, even on the nights where she feels like she did terrible, to me, it looks just as good as all the other ones because of all the small things that most people wouldn't even notice with the naked eye. So, you know, it does make me feel extremely proud to know that they focused like they did.
Your family is a nuclear family, like in the traditional sense of the word. Tell me some of the influences that provided for you. Uh, Obviously married, obviously you know have your own kids. Was that a sticking point for you? Like, what were you looking to get married and have a family? Was that one of the things that you wanted to model because of your upbringing, or did that just kind of happen organically?
You know, Oh man, that's a great question. Um, looking back, I don't really know. I don't really know what I was really aiming for. Obviously, it felt right. It felt natural. It was never something that I, resisted or wanted to run from. So it did feel good. I mean, I was just saying it is kind of an undisguised blessing, if you will.
Nice, nice. You have interracial kids. So
Yes.
is that a? I was just talking to my wife last night, as a matter of fact. Like some of the things that pain me have nothing to do with me. Like
Mhm.
like the things that pain me are the situations that I imagine they could possibly get into,
Get into,
and
yeah, yeah.
and and that kind of
True.
keeps me up at night. What are some of the are you, do you have conversations with your kids about who they are in spaces and those kinds of things?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like we should all, be having conversations with our kid because believe it or not, if you're not having conversations with your kid, then somebody is. Whether it's somebody that's looking at you, somebody that's looking at them through the screen of their device on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever the case. If you ain't teaching them, somebody's teaching them. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I was kind of fortunate. Well, I really wouldn't say fortunate right now, but I mean, the area that we're in, it's kind of a unique time with the whole, the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. I'm about 15 minutes from downtown Louisville, Kentucky. So I mean, in this area right now, it's definitely kind of stressful when it comes to a female and her knowing the value and knowing how to handle and maneuver and things accordingly.
Right. Well, the end of it is I absolutely want to know, like being so close to Kentucky and Louisville and that kind of stuff. Like, what have on your day to day? I know what the media, right? Like the media pushes one agenda, and this is happening, and all this other
Yeah,
stuff is happening. On your day to day, because I've just recently visited you.
yeah.
Your day
Good
to
time.
day life, do you feel any of that like directly? You know what I mean? Obviously, people, somebody chooses you, that's what it is. But do
Yeah.
you feel that
Uh,
daily?
you, you know, I would probably say a little bit of yeah. Right now it's kind of a unique scenario because with my wife, I mean, just on a personal level, I mean, the place that she was employed at, with all the COVID and everything, everybody kind of had to shut down. So they closed because basically downtown Louisville closed, and that was right around the time everything kind of sparked off with the whole Breonna Taylor. And since then, even though places have opened back up for business, not quite back as usual, but
Right.
most places have opened back up. They have still yet to open back up just because of a lot of the tension. So I mean, yeah, I believe still a lot of people are kind of feeling it. A lot of people are kind of it's almost like walking on glass. A lot of people right now, I guess everybody has opinions. Everybody's kind of seen some of the media and wants to take their own spin on what they feel was right or wrong, and certain people support certain departments and groups. So I mean, I think it's affected a lot of people because if you stand firm on one side and somebody who you feel is standing with you is standing firm on a different side, then yeah, I think it affects everybody.
Right. And that was the thing for me, even, excuse me, uh, dealing with people that are around me, like that matters to me, like a great deal. Uh, if you can like my kid's image because he's 5 and what
Yeah.
have you, but
So it's cute.
right, he's cute. Now at
Yeah.
what point does he transition from being cute to dangerous?
Well, yeah, or yeah, from being
So
adorable, transitioning from that to a threat.
you
Yeah.
dig like that's always the piano hanging over the thing for me. I really want to know in your space, like you excel. Like I jokingly referred to you as the Michael Jordan of cars because
Oh, come on now,
for
player.
real, like I mean that in the most affectionate way possible, because it's incredible to me that you show up and you get 28. Like that's what it is. Shut it down. You know,
I know, I know, but I was aiming for 35.
you know what I'm saying?
I was aiming for 35. Yeah.
Like as a novice and an outsider in sales and that kind of stuff, like that is remarkable to me. What kind of got you into the business and it makes
Oh
it
man,
so natural for you to be so incredible at it.
well, that's wild. I mean, honestly, but before I even get into that, I gotta rewind back just a minute and give thanks because without me having the loyal support and a place who believes in me and in a community who believes in me in that respect, I couldn't go in and sell 28 or 25 or even 15 for that matter. For each person who sits across the table and does business with me, I appreciate that, and it doesn't go unspoken because at the end of the day, I need all of them.
Right.
But I mean, for me, I guess the big thing was, I've always had that hustle in me. You know what I'm saying? So I can't sit here with you and make it look like everything has really been all squeaky clean. I've always had that little bit of grit. I've always kind of had that little bit of hustle to me. So, sometimes whether it was on the right side of the law or on the wrong side of the law. So the good thing about it is now I'm keeping it on the legal side of the law and you can reap the benefits even better that way. So that's a shout out to all the kids who think, you got to stay on the block in order to make a living. That's not the place to be. A lot of I guess a lot of the, oh man, great, JJ, that's a great question. You know, give a little shout out to Ray's Pop, because he's always been around the car business, and he kind of got us turned on to the BMW that
And
it wins. So
and he's always kind of been there as like a soft guide.
yeah,
He's like
yeah. So
angling us all in the direction.
absolutely. So for me, it kind of gave me a gateway because when I step back now and I look at the hustle I have now, it didn't come from really what I have now. It came from really what I came from,
Right.
and that is what fuels me now to continue to go out and chase it. So, but I guess a lot of it came from just being around it and seeing that a lot of what they did on that level was basically what I was doing on my own level, except they were doing it in a more polished way and it was legal and it made sense to
Right.
where you could eliminate a lot of the stress and the worries and move with it that direction.
And a lot and just I feel like that was never my path, but I feel like those skills are obviously transferable. Whether
Oh,
it's interaction with people, you have to have people skills. The product, you have to believe in it. All these types of things, like in a legal manner. To that point, like
yeah,
there are a bunch of different ways that those skills transfer to the younger individuals that may be watching this.
yeah,
You don't have to be where you're at if you have an intention to rise above. So that's
absolutely,
that.
absolutely. Hey, what I'm saying, like what you said, you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in the product, and then you got to have a passion. If you have those ingredients, whether it's you selling cars, you selling cell phones, you selling TVs, you selling yourself on a job interview, it really doesn't matter. If you believe in yourself, you believe in the product that you're trying to endorse, and you have the passion to put it together, then hey, it makes it easy to be a 10-time or a 3-time or a 1-time or whatever it is that your goals are. As long as you have those ingredients and you keep working at that. Not to say every day is going to be a good day, because there are a lot of days where you're just basically planting seeds, and not every day you're going to reap the blessing of what you throw out, but it's just knowing that you're doing it for the right purpose.
Absolutely, and putting good out there.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
what tell me what is your proudest moment so far, as a dad, as a husband, in your family life? What is your proudest moment, and kind of why?
Oh wow. Oh man. I'm mad at you for this one because you ain't even give me a little sneak peek as to what I was gonna be. You didn't give me a little sneak peek. Ah, so my proudest moment, my proudest moment as a father.
Yes. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something your kids accomplish. It could be their, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it'd be
yeah.
just having them, whatever. Like just where you were like, okay, okay,
Okay. I mean, honestly, I would say because we kind of talked about the sports, and the skills and, and all that kind of stuff. And, honestly, in life, a lot of that stuff's kind of irrelevant.
Right.
Honestly, I would probably say as a parent, my proudest moment is when one of the links in our chain is at the weakest moment, and we all come together and pick them up. Because
Oh, I
that way
love
I
that.
know that, I tell my kids all the time, that I'm not promised to be here. Well, I'm not going to be here forever. Ain't nobody promised to be here forever, but I'm not going to be around forever. That my wife, their mother, ain't going to be around forever. So at the end of the day, I want them to know that they got to stand together when we're not around as a unit. So I'll probably say that, because that way I know that even though sometimes, when you talk to your kids, you don't feel that they're listening. That,
Right.
whenever one of us is at the weakest moment, that we all come together. Yeah.
That's dope. I like that. And we all kind of go through it. I didn't recognize how little men of color were at the top of the food chain in the household. Like, that didn't dawn on me until I became a dad.
Yeah.
And the thing, like, even going to the games, or you know what I mean, like going to first day of school, all these little things that just seem like the thing you ought to do.
Yeah.
Looking around at the parents and so forth, like, you're like, well, damn, I'm the only one. Okay.
You're the only one.
Right. like it, that stuff matters to me. Like, I didn't realize or recognize that. And obviously all those things are linked, and I give my wife all the credit to putting things together. But what are some of the things? Do you feel like that's the case, or maybe I'm just seeing it the wrong way, or whatever?
Well, honestly, man, it's kind of funny that you said that, because I kind of felt the same way in a lot of scenarios. As a kid, I played the sports, and I've got a younger brother, and he was honestly more talented than I was when it comes to the athletic ability. And anybody that played against the War Eagles in a certain year, if y'all seen that number 16, y'all know the damage he did out there on the field. So, I mean, I guess for me as a parent, I probably have to go back to my father. He was a long distance truck driver, and so a lot of times he was on the road, and I just remember him trying to do whatever he could to try to make it to the game on Sunday, or the game on Thursday, or whatever day the game was. He did whatever he did, and sometimes that meant he didn't even have time to go back to his company to drop the truck off to get his personal vehicle to drive to the game. It meant him pulling up outside, and you hearing the rig and the air brake.
The big boy.
You let them know, hey, I'm here, I made it. So, so for me as a father, it almost, it trips me up whenever you go to these events and you don't see other parents there supporting their kids. Now, I know, maybe I'm blessed in that sense, and I can get away from work a little easier. Maybe a lot of the parents have an extra job or things going on to where it keeps them from not able to be present at a lot of the events. But I mean, I do feel like you, where it just feels like there's not many of us who support the offspring the way we should, in that. So, yeah, that's something that we should work on.
Well, and that's what a lot. The reason that I started this podcast in and of itself is I felt like there was a tremendous opportunity in this space for people of color, like men, to kind of get together, and we'll have women on the show and all types of things, just kind of getting into relationships and how that goes. But it's important to me to have that. To have something positive that we've screwed up. Lord knows, like we've been through the ringer, and we came out on the other side, better people, better men, and in a positive direction. I would like to know from you, like, what information or what tips are you passing on to your son specific? I'm speaking about black man and that kind of thing, like that you feel like you really just hope that part sticks, like beyond all the regular stuff, right? Like just from like your dad driving and made it a point. Like that was important. Like I have to get this done, not the job, but I have to do this and be there to be, so he knows that I'm there for him. Like what are some of those things that you hope if they don't hear, because I tell my kids the same stuff 50 times a day, but the two things that I would really like them to know is, one, I love them. The other one, there's nothing I won't do for them. So what would some of those things be?
Oh, I mean, well, definitely the one off bat's just going to be accountable.
Right.
You know, I feel like just them being accountable is going to eliminate a lot of the other things. It's going to fix a lot of the other things. You know, the whole accountability part of it, because that's going to translate from a school to a college to a lifestyle to a relationship to a career. You know, you being accountable in those aspects. I think just that one thing alone is going to be big. Yeah.
Awesome. We don't get an opportunity enough to talk about our mothers and kind of what influences they had on, and because really they are the center of the universe. I don't care what nobody says. That's just my opinion. That if not for women and mothers putting in the hours that you can't see, and in some cases, mom was dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, and brother and sister, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got a whole lot of, all of them. You got to wear a bunch of hats, and working 3 jobs in some cases, trying to make ends meet and that kind of stuff. Like, what is your mother in your space, and how has she influenced you in your life and your brother's life as well?
Oh man, sure, that's a tough one there. Mom's been a big influence. Just for the fact that she was the tough skin. And boy, I mean tough. I meant where you act up is where you get beat up. So I mean, it's funny because I remember back in the day, moms had one of those Agner purses that had that little A on it. Any of y'all bad kids, y'all remember the Agner pocketbooks, because those had like that little strap on it that you could take the strap and it goes from being a nice pocketbook to being like a bag and a whip real quick. She get undo one button and it goes from being formal to being like you about to get your ass whooped. So if your mama gets an Agner pocketbook, you just look out. That's a little side note. I honestly, she gave me that, I guess the foundation part, the whole, everything's got a place, the organized side of it was definitely mom, just to follow through. She worked her ass off to make sure that we had, it was never a time, because, she was mom, but she also had a full-time job at home with us, and then she had a full-time job outside of the house. So for her to be able to to balance both was still without making us feel like we was ever a burden, was definitely a solid a solid thing for sure.
And that for me, it was my grandmother. Like she was the best, just in general. But the same thing, she worked for 40 years at Forsyth Hospital as the head nurse down there. She just made it happen. I didn't get, it wasn't like we didn't have Amazon Prime and that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But but whatever I needed, I got.
Yeah, it was in there.
And that part, and she never gave me the inclination during my informative years, with like 14 to 18. She never gave me the inclination that it was hard. It just all looked effortless and whatever. And then you find out later on, like she can barely get up and these kinds of things. Like she was so tired from, but she woke me up in the morning, drove me to school, like all these other things. That you start to reflect on some of that stuff, and I do the same thing for my kids. Like that stuff gets transitioned and passed down as a show of love. Like she didn't go around in a circle. That's just not how she was, as far as telling you how much she loved you. But when I say she crossed a mountain and smacked the devil for you, that's what it was.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I guess I think that's one way why maybe now I am to where I am in regards to, a lot of people are taught to talk, but,
Right.
it ain't many who walk the walk. You got certain people that say they're going to do a certain thing or act a certain way or handle themselves a certain way. But whenever the rubber meets the road, a lot of the actions don't match up with some of the things they say.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's one thing I can definitely, give mom credit for, because if she said she was going to do something, it happened, whether it was a positive or negative. If I say I'm going to whoop your ass, I'm going to whip it. And if I say I'm going to get you something before we get home, I'm going to get what I promised to get you before you got home. So, it was definitely a risk and a reward in that aspect. So, I mean, I have to try to follow through with that.
Heck yeah. Well, are there any, and you can tell me, we can transition if you would like to. For me, my wife and our relationship is the middle. Like that is the center. Everything else kind of radiates outside of that. So if we're not right, then nothing's right.
Right.
Nothing's right. Like the toothpaste tastes different. I don't want it. What is this orange juice? Is it fresh? Because it don't taste fresh. Nothing is what it's supposed to be.
Say the pulp ain't sweet enough.
No, it's something missing. It's something missing. I don't like it. What are some of the things that you guys have kind of gone through, come on the other side and kind of grown through? Because I know you guys have been together for 20 plus years, 15?
Yeah, 20 plus. Oh, man, there's so many things, bro. I don't even know where to start on that. I mean, I guess the big thing is just, just trying to trust in each other,
Right.
believing in each other, a lot of, not that there's ever been kind of like a trust factor or anything like that. Like, we don't walk around here with like passcodes in the cell phones, nothing like that. It ain't nothing like that. But it's just, I guess we all kind of have our strong suits. It's kind of a weird dynamic, I guess, because, we've been married for over 20 years, but, our oldest kid she'll be 19 this upcoming year. So, I think like right now we're starting to get glimpses of, I guess those little small things that we noticed whenever we first got together, because now we're getting that time back to each other,
Right.
Especially like before the whole, the whole COVID thing kind of popped off. It gave us a chance to get back out and start having date time, because before we always had, a kid to look after. So it really wasn't no date night. It was us with the kid night. So, we're definitely looking forward to that.
Oh, great. Yeah. And that's a lot we're kind of going through the same thing, having a 5-year-old and that kind of thing, where you're like, man, I know what you look like, but I don't remember like somebody.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Yeah.
It's different when you put kids in the mix, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's good now to get back to us, but yeah, I agree with what you say. I mean, everything kind of centers with that, because if that's not right, then ain't nothing in the house right. 100%.
Absolutely. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. I'm not going to hold you any longer. I know you got plenty of stuff to do. I really appreciate it, man. It was great talking to
Absolutely,
you, and hopefully some of you guys got something positive out of that, and some of the representation and some of the ways that we can all be better. Tavis, I'll talk to you here in a little bit.
Sure.
That's our episode today for From the Root to the Fruit. I've been Jay Smith. You guys take it easy. Cheers.
See ya.